My friend, do yourself a favor. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, do me a favor. From this day going forward, no longer attach your self-worth and your identity to your achievements and your accomplishments. Or in my terms here at all the Be the Torch content and in our academy is the scoreboard. Detach your identity and your self-worth from your accomplishments and your achievements. What's up, my friends? My name is Cletus Coffey. And if, I'm not that far in my podcasting and my content creation journey that I can just have people show up on my podcast or on my YouTube channel or seeing my content and know who the heck I am. So I'm going to have to continue to reintroduce myself because we've got new people that are coming in at some pretty cool clips. So if you're new to this, thank you so much for finding this, joining it. I hope there's, just listening in, I hope there's some content here that I can help support you right now and that can inspire you to go a little bit farther down this journey with me so I can help support you. I'm a former professional and world champion athlete. Gang, I was an athlete for 85% of my life when I retired, if you will. It wasn't like I had a choice. And I took that mentality into life after sports, achieving and accomplishing. And I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I went and got a job, I got married, I had kids, and that's when the wheels started to fall off. And if you're here listening to this, I'm willing to bet they have for you as well. Now, I didn't realize it and wasn't aware, so I just was pointing to external circumstances. They screwed me and this is blah, blah, blah. And then got divorced. Now I'm a single father. So I went and found a new relationship, brought the same old me, the same old patterns, the same old lies into a new relationship, only to have almost a very similar situation pan out. I had a beautiful child, I lost that relationship. Now I'm a single father of 3. And what I know now is it took me forever, until that point, enough. That's when awakening oftentimes comes, when you just have enough suffering. You're like, I've had enough. And that's when awareness and awakening comes about. I had enough. So what I didn't realize is in those decades of pain and suffering and following the norm, I had never done any work on myself. Now, look, I dove into personal development pretty early on. I shouldn't say early, in my early 30s. I got into reading and trying to better myself, but I was just reading these books going, someone just give me the secret so I can just go ahead and go and make a bunch of money. And that's where I achieve and accomplish. For us as men, it's generally around money and business because we have been taught that's the definition of success, the scoreboard of money and business. And you think, if you don't think it's true, do this. The next time you have a backyard barbecue, you got some friends over, you got a gathering, simply listen in to when someone is talking about the neighbors or the other friends, or you can simply bring it up. Because when you say these words like, oh, the Joneses down the street, they're really successful. What are you referring to? What do you think the person that you share that with is thinking you mean? Money, house, private school, sweet cars, sweet, Instagram pics of their awesome vacations. Like that's how we define success. Now what happens is when we go after it in that frame, then when we have it, we feel good. Man, I made some money. We went on an awesome vacation. I got a bonus. I just bought a new house. And then so we feel good, feeling good about ourselves. And then when things don't go as well, maybe you lost your job, maybe you lost your business, maybe you realize one day that you're not really enjoying what you do anyway. And then we go on the downside and it's like, what's wrong with me? I'm not good enough. I got laid off. I lost a customer. I'm not good at my job. We attach our self-worth, confidence, our identity with our outcomes. Here's the thing. You cannot control those outcomes. You can't control how much money you make. You can't control your customers. You cannot control the marketplace. You can't control your employees. You can't control your intimate romantic partners. You can't control anybody. And so we think we can. And look, this for a whole nother episode, just around putting effort in. Like, you put effort into certain things, yes, you can have a certain level of predictability or idea of what you can potentially make for yourself and so forth. But for the most part, you can't do it. Even then, you can't determine, or you can't control how much money you make. So with that being said, so many of us attach our self-worth to the one thing that we cannot control. You can't control if your spouse up and leaves you. You can't control if they decide to have an extramarital affair. You can't control, you can't control how they evolve, and you just can't control it. So I'll talk about me. Let's talk about me here for a second, because in that example, I remember when my wife left me, I spun in, I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? I must be a terrible husband. I must be a terrible person, because she found someone else clearly that was a better fit for her. And instead of looking at that from that lens of, well, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of grief and pain, and we can unwind the subject at a different episode. But what I went into is I just began tearing myself down. And so do me a favor, please do not put your self-worth, confidence, your identity into your accomplishments. It breeds anxiety, stress, depression. It puts hurdles in our way that we can't seem to figure out how to get over. And when it comes to money and business, fellas, like, we are so good at taking ourselves on this roller coaster of these ebbs and flows emotionally based on the scoreboard. Again, that we can't control. So what's a solution to this? Well, solution is we don't put ourselves up on the scoreboard, right? We don't look, it is what it is. What my outcomes are not a reflection of me as a human being. Now, this is something that I felt, and it was in my bones, because I was in relationships, my longest relationships, where, look, I'm entrepreneurial. It's in my DNA. I don't know how else to explain it. I've been called to do it for so long. I didn't say I was good at it. I didn't say I was very successful, but I just was called to it. That's who I was. And it's one thing to try to figure it out and knowing that I have responsibilities, things I got to take ownership of. And for me, I was blind and dumb many times, and just said, well, I'm just going to do what I think is best and what I think is right. And I thought it was the right thing. I honestly, that's just where I was at. I thought I was doing the right thing. And the responses I got from those that I put so much stake in, those that I loved, that I thought really loved me. And I'm not suggesting that they didn't love me, but what I was constantly communicated and told is a reminder of my failures, a reminder of, I haven't made enough money, and I'm not taking care of my responsibilities. And look, I get it. That's on me. And the challenge was, I took that information and I just tore myself down, because I'm a people pleaser. Like, I want to make people happy, especially people that love me. I want them to love me more. I want them to like me more and want me. And I just tore myself down, and I lived, and every decision was made on that shame and that guilt that I carried with myself. You're not good enough. You're not making enough money. You're not feeding your family. You don't deserve to have this, and it's hard. It's hard. You probably know, because you've probably been there. And so I have been able to, this is a problem that a lot of us men struggle with. And so, the real solution is doing the work on you. And you're not going to find a solution if you're in a relationship now, if you're single, post-divorce or separation. You're not going to find it from somebody else, another romantic relationship. You're not going to find it in a new business or anything like that. It simply has to come from you. And this is the bigger problem that a lot of us face. We're not willing to do the work. We think we just go make some more money and that'll settle things. Or, we're so done and overwhelmed with the constant pressure to produce and provide that we're just going through the motions. We're not living. We're not thriving. And if you have children, that's an impact on them. They need you to show up authentically as yourself, to lead them as you, and they need you to be happy. They need you to feel fulfilled. They need you to feel right. That's the legacy that you're leaving right there. And so, we want to make sure that those you lead are that you're leading them the way that you were created and designed to lead. So the real problem is guys aren't doing the work. And I know this to be true because I didn't do the work. I didn't even know I had to even do the work. I just thought I could go out and look, I'm a competitor. I can drive, I can make some money. And it just was not working. And I was in my own way for so long. And you are in your own way. I know it. Been there. Talk to men just like you who are in your own way, not willing to do the work. You say you're doing the work. You're journaling a little bit. You're reading some books. You are, trying new things. But it takes more than that. It takes you getting real with yourself, getting to the truth as to where you're at, taking ownership for that, really. And that's, we have to tear down the old us and then build ourselves back up. Now there's a foundation there. So I'm not saying we're going to burn it all to the ground. There's a foundation there, but we have to get to the truth to kind of get back to that foundation of who you are, and then build yourself back up based on the truth, based on the ownership of taking responsibility for the things that have happened in your past or where you are currently at presently. Maybe you're killing it. You're making a ton of money. That's not an issue, but you're disconnected from your kids. You can't seem to find a soulmate or a relationship that is going to meet you where you're at, to love on you for your authentic self. And how could they? Because you don't know who your authentic self is. How can you expect somebody else to love you if you don't love you? Man, Cletus, you're talking this woo-woo stuff and I have to, yeah, absolutely. There's science behind it and there's an art to this. Now, my art is going to be different than anyone else's, and that's okay. I come from the athletic minded, the achiever, the wanting to accomplish and wanting to slay and just make it happen. And yet and still from a loving, compassionate, I want to do good in the world. I want to do good for those that I am, in my family, and for my kids, my partner, and I want to do good at the same time. And so, that the solution is going in on you. So that takes time. That takes effort. That takes some clarity around how am I going to get this done? And so here's what my suggestion is for you based on my experience. That's all it is. My own experience, my own art, combining with what I've learned and the science behind this is what I call personal culture. And look, this is like I said earlier, this is getting to know you, and that foundation is there. It just may be that there's misalignment. So we're going to get to the truth. We're going to take ownership and responsibility in it, and then we're going to build from there. Now, when we build from there, here's what we have to be mindful of and understand is that there are patterns, there are beliefs, there are habits that you have been subscribing to and that have been following you for decades. Love ya. However, you are repeating and you are following habits from your past, feelings of your past, because you know what those are, and you know what those feel like, and you know when you put them on, what you're going to experience. For example, in my marriage, we went through, before we were divorced, we went through 3 or 4 or 5 tumultuous years. We weren't married that long, and half of it was really challenging. And for me, I would get in the shower every morning and I would immediately go to the pain in my relationship. I needed to feel something. And so I would just feel the pain and reflecting upon what happened the day before and what it's going to be like that day. And so kicking off my morning in this regard was all about pain and guilt and shame and negativity and woe is me and I'm a victim and I'm not good enough. I mean, it was just, that's how I started my morning. Every morning for years I did that, because I ended up getting into another relationship that was painful and I was struggling in it, and I was back in that same shower. And that's how I started my morning. That is not, as I know now, that's not a good way to start the morning. That's not a good way to generate your power. And, that power is something we need to be successful and win the day. To win your life, you got to generate that. You got to, that's why I named everything, be the torch. You have to be the torch. You have to be your own torch to illuminate your own path. And that power comes from us going inward and not looking at our outcomes and defining ourselves by our outcomes. I don't care how many people have told you you're a loser, you're a bum and all that. Man, if you're willing to put in the work, if you are willing to look in the mirror and see yourself for who you are, you're none of those things. You are, well, I'll tell you for me. I don't know about you, but I'll tell you for me. I was told I was a failure. I was just a dreamer. I wasn't ever going to be any good. I'm not good enough. You're a piece of that and it was just, it didn't feel good. I was told a lot of creative things, and I don't believe I was any of them. I was just lost. I was just stuck. And I wish I had the courage for, like I said, almost 2 decades to say, hey, I'm stuck. I'm lost. I need some help. I couldn't do that. I was too proud. I needed to go accomplish. I needed to go to win. And then I'll come back and see, I told y'all, I was able to figure it out. That's not how it works. And if you're in that mode, I hope I can save you a lot of time and energy and heartache and chaos. It's not going to work. Throwing your hands up and saying, I need help. I need some direction. I'm lost. I need someone to check me, someone to hold me accountable. Then if you're willing to do that, you're in the right place. That's what we do here. The whole Torch Academy is built on becoming the torch. And it's not, here's the roadmap, go figure it out on your own. These are dudes just like you and me. Man, we're just trying to figure it out. We're not failures. We're not losers and all the other creative stuff you've probably been called. You just have not figured it out yet. You've been stuck. You've been stuck in your own shit. You've been in your own way. I know it to be true. I've been there. So we can further feel that power when we recognize, one, we're not any of those things. And number two, anyone who feels like that about themselves is attaching their self-worth and their identity to an outcome. Oh, I didn't make enough money, and so I'm a failure. And so now I'm shameful of that. I'm guilty, and it just feels heavy talking about that, because it brings me back to a lot of conversations I had with myself about that. So, you maybe you did lose a relationship. Maybe you're divorced or you separated, you broke up, and you were a cause of that relationship, of that breakup. You may not have been all of it, but you were 50% of it. And so you're looking at that and saying, I just lost the love of my life, or I can't believe that she did this to me, and all this, back and forth in your mind, when in reality that was an outcome that, as I know now, was meant to happen for you. something that was not supposed to be your life. As much as we stew in that in grief and say, gosh, I lost my family, I lost the love of my life, or I spent all this time with this person and I can't believe I did that and I should have left a long time ago. And look, you can go back into the past, which doesn't exist anymore, and try to play that reel. And it's just going to bring up the guilt. It's going to bring up the shame. It's going to bring up the pain based on an outcome, something that you cannot control. So let's not put your self-worth and your identity up on that. And you can grieve it. You can feel it. You can feel the pain and the heartache and the anger and the frustration and all that. And it's not you. That's not who you are. So in those moments, in those times, the number one key, and as I wrap up this episode here, I'm gonna leave you with this. The number one key to all of this is simply to be present. In the present moment, what is real? That has been learning how to ask that question of myself has saved me in more ways than I can count. In the present moment, what is real? What is true? And about myself, about my situation. And if we can get to that, not lying to ourselves, not BSing ourselves or anybody else, but getting to the truth. Hey, this is where I'm at. And it may be, I'm safe, good, I'm an honest person, I mean well, or on the other side, the truth is I'm not holding my own. I'm not being respectful. I'm treating others like crap. I'm not being present. I'm not taking care of my health. I'm not making enough money for my family. I mean, those are on the truth side as well. And just getting to that truth in the present moment about where you're at, it's a powerful piece, because past doesn't exist and really nor does the future. So all that's real is right in this moment. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, you're probably most likely in your car working out. I like listening to podcasts when I'm working out. If you're listening to this or watching this video at home, and just know, man, you're good. You're good right now. And you may have a ton of weight and a lot of pressure and a lot of challenges, not problems. You don't have any problems. Problems are just stories, man. That's all they are. You may have some challenges, some hurdles in your way, and we'll get through that. So the problems are just stories that you're telling yourself. So in the present moment, what's real? And focus on that. And what's real is you are a human being and you're not an outcome. That's not who you are. It's what you do. You may be in business. You may have your own company, and you may be in a relationship. You are most likely a father if you have found this podcast and this content here. So that's what you do. That's not who you are. And we get caught up in that identity. Well, I'm a father, and I'm a partner, and I'm a business owner. Like, those are just identities. Those are titles that somebody gave us, and we just kind of gave it to ourselves. That's what you do. You father young people. You parent them. And on the flip side, I'm Cletus Coffey. I just happen to be a dad. I just happen to be a business owner. And so getting back to that, detaching from that scoreboard in the present moment, my friend, is a huge stepping stone. So that's what I want you to take away from this is you're not your outcomes. You are you. The things that you do to help generate outcomes in your life are, that's what you do. That's not who you are. So let's get back to center. Let's get back to the present moment. Who are you? That's your task. Dial in. Who are you really? Who are you? And I like breaking up into 5 key elements in life, because as men, we tend to strive and want to thrive in business and accomplishing money and success in that pillar. Well, there's also your psychology, right? Your belief system, and as well as you've got your people. You also have your body, right? Your people being your relationships. You got your body. You also have the divine source inside of you, a connection that is a teammate in this. Call it a higher power, whatever you want to call it. But there is a divine source that's within you that is there to help support you in this. And it's probably talking to you right now. Are you listening? I'll do a whole episode on that about learning to listen. It's a practice that I'm constantly working on because I'm getting messages, and I've had for years, a message like a gut punch or a gut feeling or a little shoulder tap, that little voice in your head that's like, hey, don't go that way. And the logical mind goes, yeah, but I'm supposed to go that way. And that's where everyone else is going, or that's what I've always done. So you go that way, and it's like, I told you. So it's, I don't want to get too off on that because, like I said, we'll do that in a different episode. But more or less, it just comes down to you connecting to that source, and whether you do it through meditation or prayer, or reading and sitting in stillness, like those types of things to help connect and listen. It's super powerful for growing your business, for finding your ideal relationship, for being a father, for having the ideal body, and all the power 5 of personal culture that I talk a lot about. We can't just expand in one area. We have to expand in them all and grow and get better. My friends, if you're ready to grow and get better in this, coming to BeTheTorch.com is a great place to start. We have a whole lot of programs and projects that we are continuing to roll out and launch. We'd love to have you be a part of some of our webinars to come learn. And just from the introductory standpoint, see, this is a good community for you of other guys like you who are saying, hey, we want to thrive in all areas. And we want to create a lifestyle that we truly desire to have, one that's going to leave a legacy for our children, for our future. And that gives us the experience we want to have here during this time that we have here on earth. So let's maximize it. Let's create that life that we really want. BeTheTorch.com. We'd love to help support you there. Until next time, my friends, thanks for listening.